I'm Spencer Mazyck, and joining me now are lawyers turned world's most famous reviewers, Tim and Nina Zagat. They are the founders of the very popular Zagat Guide. Welcome, Tim and Nina. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I correct you right off the bat?
Yes, please do.
We're not reviewers. We are surveyors. We survey hundreds of thousands of other people.
Very good. And I was going to ask you, whose idea was it, though, to begin this survey?
We were at a dinner party back in 1979, and somebody started criticizing the then critic of the most important newspaper in the city. I will not mention names.
You will not mention his name.
And after he was talking for a while, and he'd had 5 or 6 glasses of wine and had an undue enthusiasm, I, with my 5 or 6 glasses of wine, said, why don't we do a survey of all of our friends? We had 20 people at table, and I said, let's get 10 names from each of you, and we'll start a survey. And we did it as a hobby for 3 years, and each year it got bigger and bigger. And then Nina really deserves the credit, because after 3 years it was so expensive, she said, and she's the financially responsible member of our family, she said, we've got to have some way to pay for this and at least make our hobby tax deductible. So we started selling it.
Started selling the guide.
We weren't looking to make money.
Okay.
I just didn't want to use pre-tax money on our survey.
How did you know?
This is a tax lawyer talking about it.
Did you do tax law?
I guess I mean after-tax money, right?
Okay. Did you practice tax law in the beginning?
Yeah, well, I did what we called individual clients, which was general practice for very wealthy people inside of a major corporate law firm.
Okay, and so how did you guys know that people would be interested in getting restaurant reviews from ordinary people like themselves instead of food critics with foodie backgrounds?
We didn't know that. We did what instinctively felt right to us. We knew that the information we were getting was not what we were looking for. And we knew that we would rather turn to any of our friends or a bunch of our friends to get information than go to one critic.
The essential idea was if you asked enough people who eat out regularly to share their experiences, you were going to be more likely to be reliable and cover the territory better. So the first year we had 200 people, the second year 500, and the third year 1,000.
Wow.
And people all started saying, I'd like to get copies of those mimeograph sheets you're doing. And everybody found that they were accurate. So it was kind of proved itself, not because we knew it in advance that it would be right, it's just we thought it would be.
Well, how many people do you survey now?
Probably over 1 million.
Oh, wow, 1 million people. And can anybody be a reviewer, or must you have certain credentials to do so?
Anybody can be a reviewer, but you have to pass certain qualifications. You have to get through certain filters.
I wonder whether
part of the filters are just to make sure that the people who are doing it are avid and are voting in a way that shows that they are doing it for fun and they care about it.
So then that means that I maybe perhaps could qualify as a reviewer.
We hope you will. We hope you will.
Anybody could go to zagat.com/vote or google.com/vote and do it. And I would say that 95% of the people who do it, because they want to do it, will qualify. It's just we have to be able to protect against the possibility of a restaurant or a store or a nightclub deciding to help itself.
Okay.
And so we know how to protect against the process by filtering.
And how are the responses compiled?
It's all done online. When we started, it was all done on paper.
Okay.
So that it revolutionized our business when we were able to do everything online. But people come and all the information gets sorted automatically by computer.
When we first started doing it, we had everything sent to our house till the board of directors of our co-op said, would you please stop? We were getting more mail than the rest of the entire 100
I imagine.
But it really, doing this online obviously saved us a hell of a lot of money, probably $10 to $15 each person. So take 1 million times 15 and gives you an idea of how much money we're saving by doing it online. But we also had to make sure that doing it online, we had the same protections and the same ability to focus on people that we wanted as we had before when it was on paper.
And Nina, was it your idea to go online?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Again, she's the brains behind the operation.
I just knew it was something that was going to be extraordinarily expensive for us. But I knew it was something that we had to do. I'm usually the more frugal one, but in this case, I went for it.
You guys were creating user-generated content long before anybody even knew what that meant.
That's right. I never had heard of user-generated content until about 10 years after we started.
Yeah,
It's very funny because a lot of words came into the vocabulary after we had been doing them for years. I remember when I first started hearing about guerrilla marketing, it became a big hot thing. Well, I mean, that's something we had done from the very beginning.
Probably the pioneers.
When I used to send my friends down to the magazine shop in Citicorp Center and have them ask for our guide when the place didn't carry them yet.
Oh, wow. Very savvy.
Until one person
When her 15th friend said, "Can I get the Zagat guide?" They decided to carry
order it, exactly.
What? You don't have it? It's a great book. You know, we had...
Well, so I want to switch gears for just a bit and talk about your legal background. I understand that you both graduated from Yale Law School.
We met there.
You met there. Can you tell us what you did after graduation? We touched on it a little bit, Nina, with you just earlier. What did you do after graduation?
I went to Sherman and Sterling and stayed there for my whole career until I left for the survey.
Okay, and you, Tim?
I practiced at Hughes, Hubbard & Reed, and then I became a partner of Pomerantz, Levy, Haddock & Block, which was the leading plaintiffs' law firm in New York at the time, maybe the leading in the country. And then I went over to Gulf and Western, which was a big name. It was the largest conglomerate in the history of the United States. And most of the companies it owns, like Paramount Pictures and a variety of others, are better known than Gulf and Western, which is gone now. But I was in charge of all litigation and claims and insurance.
And Tim, you were a litigator for 20 years. Nina, you practiced for 24 years. You must have loved it. Did you enjoy practicing law?
It was great.
Yeah.
You know, it was, and the important thing in this context is that I think the practicing law for both Tim and me gave us the skills to be able to go ahead and build our business once it became obvious that our hobby had to be taken seriously.
Yeah, your hobby sort of took on a life of its own, which I think might have forced you out of practice. Was it difficult to leave, Tim?
No.
You loved it, but it wasn't difficult to leave.
We started in '79. In 1985, there was a cover story in New York Magazine called Food Spooks, and that was about us. And they did a hell of a big piece on us. And our sales went from 40,000 copies a year to 75,000 a month in 1 month.
In 1 month.
And suddenly, if we were charging $7 or $8 a book, so we were making $500,000 in a single month from our hobby.
Right.
And suddenly it seemed pretty obvious that we ought to spend more time doing our hobby and a little less we were paid well as lawyers, but we were making a lot more from our hobby than our business.
And the exciting thing is that we had gone around to all the major publishers and asked them if they wouldn't publish our guide, because originally our idea was not to stop practicing law and do the survey, but rather to have somebody else publish the survey. But
what was their response?
We turned down by everybody.
They turned us down.
Wow, I bet you
Including
now.
I had 2 publishers who reported to me at Gulf and Western, and I was turned down by both of them. Now, you know you have a problem when people report to you, turn you down.
Well, it was probably pretty tough. Did they think that people didn't want to get restaurant reviews from ordinary
Exactly.
folks?
They didn't think that people wanted to hear from other people like them. They thought people wanted to hear from experts.
So-called experts.
They thought that nothing local would sell enough copies, so that local information was just totally devalued. And they thought our concept of having a small book that you could put in your pocket or your pocketbook
would get lost in the bookshelves.
And wouldn't make any sense, that people want to read a lot about restaurants. They don't want to read just a little snippet. And so the major aspects of our vision of having something that was social, local, and mobile,
all of which are buzzwords today. Everybody says right on. They were the reasons we got turned down.
Wow.
And thank God we got turned down.
Absolutely.
Because if they had taken us, they would have taken 80 to 90% of the revenue, and we'd have been lucky to get 10 to 20%. As it was, we learned how to publish these things ourselves and distribute them, and we got 100%. And thank God, because of it made the whole thing much more profitable.
But also we had the opportunity to build a business that was based on the vision that we had. And I think had we gotten somebody to publish guides they wouldn't have seen it with the broad vision that we had, and we wouldn't have had the business that we ultimately built.
Also, I think the fact that we did it as a hobby, we did it because we loved it. And
right.
I think people who do something that they love in business or in anything else in life, number one, are much more avid about it, work harder at it, and enjoy themselves more. And I don't think if we had not done it as a hobby first, that we would have been as successful as it turned out.
Yeah, and before we leave, though, I want to talk about the sale of your company to Google. Why did you sell the company?
Because they asked us to, and they made a good enough offer for us to say yes.
They contacted us and said that they wanted to come in and have a chat. And it grew right away into, they being very interested in all the things that we were doing and felt that there was so much that we had in common. So, for us, we thought that Google was the ideal future for our business. And so we were happy to do that.
I think in the year and a half or so since we did this, it's proven to be true. I mean, we could not have had a better partner. We still are running the company on a day-to-day basis with one of the top Google people, and we enjoy it a lot, but we really share the same vision of getting accurate, reliable information that can be communicated in a very easy, mobile way.
And you mentioned they came to you with an offer. How much did you sell the company
that's
for?
That's not something we talk about.
Well, it was in the
you can give me an estimate. You can read between $100 and $200 million.
Yes.
Somewhere in that.
You can read the New York Times because they had it right.
All right, good to know. Good to know. Now that you guys have sold the company to Google, though, will you have creative direction of it for as long as you want to?
Well, we're working together with Google. It's not one side or another. We discuss all of our plans and concepts together and come up with solutions.
But she sounds very diplomatic. I really think the people we're working with are fabulous. And they share the same vision that we had, thank God. Because if they didn't, we'd have said goodbye.
Right, you probably wouldn't have partnered with them in the first place.
But it turns out that a year and a half later, we're convinced that they share the same vision to create reliable, easy-to-use information. And the people that we're working with are also people we like a lot. So we couldn't be happier.
Well, so what's next for the Zagat Survey?
We're expanding all over the world. We're doing many more subjects. I mean, there's limitless opportunity. I think the goal that we have is to focus on what we're doing and do the best possible job that we can.
But for example, we're expanding much more quickly than we ever could have as just Zagat. We were releasing our London guide a few months ago, and somebody interviewed us and said, why are you doing Manchester, Glasgow, and Ireland? And I said, huh? Then I had to go back and find out that we were, in fact, doing all those things. But we are expanding so fast that we had trouble sometimes keeping up with it. The key is that we're doing it in a way that provides really large numbers of people an opportunity to share their experiences and protects the system against cheating and, in fact, targets those people who are most likely to be interested. We want to get people who love going to restaurants or who really enjoy shopping or who love to travel. We have guides to the hotels, resorts, and spas all over the world. Well, you want to get people who are enthusiastic just as we were. And I think we have gotten a system that they can use to achieve the goals that we would have had to start with.
And we always have been involved with trying to help people make smart decisions. And that's exactly what Google does to empower people to make decisions based on information that they're able to provide very efficiently. So, it all works very well together.
I think that's a very important point that I think a lot of guide publishers don't get, is that you are looking for different things for every occasion. You're being romantic and you want one kind of place to go to. You're taking 5- and 6-year-old children who've got to get up and run around the table and spill their Coca-Cola, and it's a totally different place. You're going out for business, and the business is paying for your meal, so you don't care how much it is. Every time you go out, you go to the movies and you want something easy and quick near the movie theater. What we're trying to do is give you the information so you can make smart decisions for yourself. And it's not to tell you this is the 5 or 10 best restaurants in a city. I mean, if we sat here for 5 minutes, I think we could probably tick off the 5 or 10 best restaurants in New York. Mm-hmm. That's not useful because you can't go to those restaurants, or nor would you want to go every night.
Right.
You want a little place where you can get pizza or a hamburger or something ethnic. Each time you go out, you're looking for something else, and we're trying to give you the tools to find that.
Well, I want to say thank you for joining us today, and also thank you for the guides. When I moved to New York, however many years ago, those guides, the nightlife guide, the restaurant guide, and also the marketplace guide, they helped shape and mold my New York City experience. So thank you very much for that.
Well, I hope they made New York as great as it is.
It has been. Yes, thank you. For more information on this and other topics, subscribe to BloombergLaw.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for joining us. Bye, everybody.